Today's story has no scary equations. Just one instinct: is it true or is it false, is all you need. Read one sentence slowly. This sentence is false. It looks like nothing at all, but let's try to judge whether it's true or false. If it's true, then just as the sentence says, this sentence must be false. If it's false, then its claim is wrong, so this sentence turns out to be true instead. Call it true and it's false. Call it false and it's true. There's nowhere to set your feet down. This one sentence is the liar paradox, the one that has robbed logicians of sleep for 2,000 years. Today we'll interrogate this sentence to the very end, from the true source of the dizziness to the ways out of it. This trivial bit of wordplay shares a bloodline with the deepest results of 20th century mathematics. This paradox is nothing new. Even by the written record alone, it goes back well over 2,000 years. In the 6th century BC, the Cretan prophet Epimenides is said to have declared that all Cretans are liars, even though he himself was a Cretan. This line is quoted in a hymn by the poet Callimachus, and much later it even makes its way into the New Testament. And yet this line in truth isn't a real paradox. Even if it's false, that only means some Cretans do tell the truth, no contradiction at all. The pure form is handed down as belonging to Eubulides, a 4th century BC figure who clashed with Aristotle. Strip away the trimmings and you get the very sentence we just met. This sentence is false. The Stoic Chrysippus is said to have written more than 20 volumes on the liar alone. Medieval scholars gave sentences like these a name: insolubilia, the unsolvables. Let's rerun the opening. Tag it true and it flips to false. Tag it false and it flips back to true. The key is exactly this: it flips. Ordinary sentences never do this. Tag snow as white as true and it matches the facts, so once it's settled for good. An ordinary sentence never touches its own tag, but the liar is different. I am false is really a claim about itself, that its own tag has to be false. So tag it true and it shifts to false. Look at that false and it shifts back to true with no end. In symbols it's a single line. L being true has to equal L being false. It's an impossible demand. This sentence is, in effect, ordering itself to become its own exact opposite. And so this sentence has nowhere to rest. The picture on screen is exactly that restless landscape. On the left, there are only arrows linking the two rooms, true and false, with no self-loop, the mark that would mean staying put. On the right, the red line oscillates endlessly while the green line, an ordinary sentence, sticks fast to true without the slightest motion. This oscillation is the true face of the liar paradox, and this back and forth has a precise mathematical name. Mathematics has a notion called a fixed point, a spot where, even after you apply an operation, the result comes out exactly the same as it started. Multiply any number by 1 and it stays the same, so every number is a fixed point. The only fixed points of squaring are 0 and 1. Put in 2 and it turns into 4, so 2 isn't a fixed point. Let's look at a sentence the same way, as an operation that demands a certain label for itself. When the label you put in matches the new label the sentence hands back, that's a fixed point, a resting place. Seen through this lens, sentences split cleanly into 3 kinds. An ordinary sentence returns true no matter what you feed it, so its only fixed point is true. It lands on true right away and rests. The truth teller hands back whatever you put in, so it has 2 fixed points. There's no contradiction, but the truth is never pinned down. The liar hands back the exact opposite of whatever you put in, so it has no fixed point at all. The reason the liar makes your head spin now fits into a single line. It has no fixed point. Let's chart the fate of all 3 sentences side by side. The ordinary one lies flat, and the truth teller's 2 lines lie flat too. Only the liar keeps rising and falling forever, like a sawtooth. That vague dizziness has turned into one sharp fact. This sentence has no fixed point. So to tame it, all we need is to somehow give it a single resting place. Imagine sticking a label onto each of the 3 sentences yourself, and watching their self-evaluation unfold step by step. The ordinary one soon halts, the truth teller never flips yet is never settled, and the liar flips forever. Keep running the liar's self-evaluation over and over, And the number of flips just climbs without end, because there's no place for it to stop. Now it's time to see how humankind found its way out of this trap. It's a debate that has run for more than 100 years, so the paths are many, but the main branches are three. First, we introduce a brand new third label, neither true nor false, the gap. The key is this: run the gap through self-evaluation and it stays the gap because the opposite of the gap is once again the gap. So the liar finally gets a place to rest, an idea refined by Saul Kripke in 1975. Kripke saw it this way. Only sentences that touch the ground get true or false, while sentences left hanging in the air stay in the gap. Second is the diagnosis. The real trouble is a sentence talking about its own truth or falsity in the first place. So we split language into layers, so that truth and falsity can only ever be spoken of from one layer up. Now you simply can't write this sentence is false within a single layer because false always lives one layer up. That was Tarski's conclusion in the 1930s. No language can define its own truth from within itself. The image on screen now lays these two paths side by side. On the left is Kripke's path. At the center, the gap forms a loop back to itself, that is, a fixed point. On the right, Tarski's path, the liar can't even be born, it's grammatically ruled out. This idea had an older sibling. With type theory, Russell banned anything from referring to itself. The famous Russell's paradox is of the same bloodline, and its cure too came down to banning self-reference. The third path is bold. Just accept that the liar is both true and false. In exchange, you rework logic so that a single contradiction can't bring the whole world crashing down. This is dialetheism, still a radical minority position even among logicians. To be fair though, the gap runs into a comeback of its own. Just try asking about this sentence. This sentence is not true. The gap just means not true. And this sentence asserts exactly that, so it comes out true after all. And we're right back to a contradiction. It's such a tenacious opponent that in over 100 years, no one has managed to nail down a final answer. The liar doesn't stand alone. It's the eldest sibling of a whole family of self-referring statements. Grelling, Nelson has the very same shape. It asks whether an adjective that doesn't apply to itself applies to itself. The Berry paradox takes the smallest number supposedly not definable in fewer than 20 words, and then defines it in well under 20 words. What if Pinocchio said, "My nose is about to grow"? It's the liar in a cute little disguise. The real allure of this family is that it became the seed of the deepest results in 20th century mathematics. In 1993, Yablo built a chain in which no sentence refers to itself directly, yet a contradiction still erupts. Every sentence below me is false. Set up sentences like that as number 1, number 2, number 3, on and on forever, and no assignment of true and false ever comes out free of contradiction. In 1942, Curry, without ever using negation, proved absolutely anything from a single sentence. It revealed that the root of the trouble isn't the word false. It's self-reference itself. And now the knockout punch. Just swap one word, change false to unprovable. In 1931, Gödel actually constructed this self-referring sentence inside the very language of mathematics. The trick was ingenious. He gave every formula its own unique number, so that mathematics could point at itself. And so, in any sufficiently powerful system, there must be a proposition that is true yet cannot be proved. That's the incompleteness theorem. Gödel himself noted that this sentence closely resembles the liar. In 1936, Turing used the very same self-reference to prove that no universal program can decide in advance whether a program will halt. A contrarian program that deliberately does the exact opposite of the decider, the liar dressed up as a program. It's alive in engineering too. Feed an inverter's output back into its own input, and it wobbles between 0 and 1 forever. That same square wave from Chapter 2 runs unchanged, from a joke all the way to the outer limits of mathematics and computing. We come back to that very first sentence. Now we know exactly where the trap was. The problem was never the lying. It was that the sentence pronounces on its own truth or falsehood, out of its own mouth. The moment a yardstick begins measuring itself, you get a feedback loop that never ends. The escape routes in the end were all attempts either to make a place to rest or to keep the sentence from measuring itself. The tools we use today were just two: is it true or false, and might this be measuring itself? And those two stretched from a 2,000-year-old piece of wordplay at one end to the very limits of mathematics at the other. Looking like a joke while striking the most sensitive nerve of language and truth, that's the charm of this paradox. The next time someone insists something is absolutely true, ask them back, might this very statement right now be talking about itself? That single question turns a dizzying paradox into calm, plain arithmetic. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. See you in the next story.